After studying this module, you shall be able to know the causes of happiness, understand the effects of happiness, and learn the various obstacles to happiness. Understanding and facilitating happiness and subjective well-being is the central objective of positive psychology. Researchers have focused great efforts on identifying the factors affecting happiness as well as the effects of happiness. Let us now look at the causes of happiness and well-being. Well-being is a dynamic concept that includes subjective, social and psychological dimensions. Psychological well-being, social well-being and health-related quality of life are constructs that are related to but distinct from subjective well-being. A number of factors that contribute to happiness are as follows. Personality traits and happiness. Personality studies of happiness show that happy and unhappy people have distinct personality profiles according to Diener et al. It has been found that in Western cultures, happy people are extroverted, optimistic, have high self-esteem and an internal locus of control. In contrast, unhappy people tend to have high levels of neuroticism. Interestingly, intelligence is not related to happiness. Cultural factors partially determine the types of personality factors associated with happiness. In Western individualistic cultures such as the US, self-esteem and acting in congruence with one's personal beliefs and personality factors is associated with high levels of subjective well-being. However, subjective well-being is not correlated with these factors in Eastern collectivist societies. Therefore, it can be said that cultural values partially determine personality traits that affect subjective well-being, probably because these traits are associated with achieving culturally valued goals according to Triandus. Genetic and environmental basis for personality traits. Evidence shows that 50% of the variance in major personality traits such as extroversion and neuroticism may be accounted for by genetic factors, whereas children with high activity levels and positive affect become extroverted and hence more likely to be happy. Children who are highly irritable and fearful show high levels of neuroticism in later life and so are more likely to show negative affectivity. Optimism, self-esteem and locus of control are also personality traits which correlate with happiness. Secure attachment is also related to these personal strengths. Optimistic children learn their optimism from their parents, adopt an optimistic explanatory style according to Seligman. Heritability of a happiness set point. Professor David Licken in the Minnesota study of twins read apart found that about half of the variance in current happiness or subjective well-being is due to genetic factors. However, the set point for happiness, that is, the stable point around which people's mood varies over periods such as a decade, is about 98% determined genetically. Culture and happiness. Specific cultural and socio-political factors have also been found to play an important role in determining happiness. In cross-cultural studies, consistently, a relationship is found between subjective well-being and living in a stable democracy. Cultures in which there is social equality have higher mean levels of subjective well-being. Subjective well-being is greater in individualist cultures than in collectivist cultures. Happiness is also associated with important features of government institutions. Subjective well-being is higher in welfare states. In countries in which public institutions run efficiently and in which there are satisfactory relationships between the citizens and bureaucracy members. Relationships and happiness. Marriage. It has been seen that married people are happier than unmarried people, be they divorced, separated, or never married, according to mayors. However, the least happy of all are people in unhappy marriages. Marriages in which people communicate clearly and respectfully and forgive each other's faults are usually associated with higher levels of satisfaction. Partners similar in personality, physical attractiveness, attitudes, interests, and values are more likely to experience marital satisfaction and provide their children with a stable environment. The association between marital status and happiness has been found in studies of 40 nations around the world, regardless of the divorce rate or the effects of living in an individualist culture, according to Dina et al. However, effects of unmarried cohabitation on happiness are affected by culture. In individualistic cultures, cohabiting couples are happier than married couples, but in collectivist countries, they are unhappy than married or single people. Kinship. Close supportive relationships between parents and children, between siblings, and between extended family members enhance the social support network. Social support enhances subjective well-being, and from an evolutionary perspective, we are hardwired to derive happiness from this contact with our kinship network, according to Argyll. Friendship. Maintaining a few close confiding relationships has been found to correlate with happiness and subjective well-being. For example, in a study of the happiest 10% of a group of 222 college students, Diener and Seligman found that their most distinctive attribute was their rich and fulfilling social life. Acquaintances. Cooperation with acquaintances who are neither family nor close friends is a potential source of happiness and a way of avoiding unhappiness due to loss of status and inequalities which inevitably arise from regular involvement in competition. Religion and spirituality. Moderate correlations have been found between happiness and involvement in religious activity in North American studies by mayors. The reasons for this are as follows. First, religion provides a coherent belief system that allows people to find meaning in life and hope for the future. Second, involvement in routine attendance at religious services and being part of a religious community provides people with social support. Third, involvement in religion is often associated with a physically and psychologically healthier lifestyle. Marital fidelity, pro-social altruistic behavior, and a commitment to hard work. The environment and happiness. More pleasant physical environments are moderately associated with happiness. Geographical location, housing, weather, and the availability of music can all have short-term positive effects on well-being. Geographical location and other aspects of the environment. Well-being has been found to be associated with being in natural rather than artificial environments. People report positive feelings in geographical locations where there is vegetation, water and panoramic views, according to Ulrich et al. Good weather induces positive moods. When the sun is shining, when it's warm but not too warm, and when there is low humidity, people report more positive moods, according to Cunningham. Moderate correlations have been found between the quality of housing and life satisfaction. Indicators of the quality of housing include geographical location, rooms per person, etc. Music has been shown in surveys and mood induction experiments to induce short-term positive mood states. Wealth. In a study by Professor Ed Diener, it was found that across nations, happiness and wealth correlate about 0.6. Happiness rates are low in Russia and Turkey and high in Ireland, Canada, Denmark and Switzerland. This is probably because people in poorer countries are dissatisfied that they do not have the luxuries available in more developed countries. This could be explained on the basis of social comparison theory, which states that one's happiness is based on the perceived discrepancy between their situation and that of other people. Health. While subjective ratings of personal health correlate with happiness, objective health ratings made by physicians do not correlate with happiness, except where people are severely disabled, according to Diener et al. Exercise. In the short term, exercise induces positive mood states, and in the long term, regular exercise leads to greater happiness. Productivity. Employment status, job satisfaction and goal-directed activity are all related with subjective well-being, and there is also an association between education and happiness in certain circumstances. Work. Employment status is related to happiness, with employed people being happier than those who are unemployed, and people in professional and skilled jobs being happier than those in unskilled jobs, according to Argyll. Job satisfaction and happiness are moderately correlated at about 0.4, according to Diener et al. Education. Education level is positively correlated with happiness, and this relationship is particularly strong for low-income groups in developed countries and populations in poorer countries, according to Diener et al. Goal attainment. People report greater happiness on days when they achieve highly valued goals. Recreation and happiness. Rest, relaxation, good food and leisure activities all have positive short-term effects on happiness, according to Argyll. Let us now look at the effects of happiness. Positive emotions and productivity. From an evolutionary perspective, negative emotions such as fear or anger act as a defense against threats. Negative emotions lead to zero-sum games in which there is a winner and a loser, and the amount lost and won is identical. Therefore, there is no net gain from the transaction. In contrast, positive emotions prepare us for win-win or non-zero-sum games in which both parties at the end of the transaction have more than they started. Negative emotions facilitate highly focused, defensive critical thinking and decision making, whereas positive emotions facilitate creative, tolerant thinking and productivity. Professor Barbara Fredrickson at the University of Michigan has extended the idea that positive emotions lead to non-zero sum games. She has developed the broaden and build theory of positive emotions to explain how positive affective experiences not only signal personal well-being but also contribute to personal growth and development. Negative emotions narrow the momentary thought action repertoires, so people act in a self-protective way. Positive emotions, in contrast, broaden momentary thought action repertoires and offer opportunities for building personal resources. This leads to the potential for personal growth and transformation by creating positive emotions, cognitions, and actions. Increased social support, artistic and scientific productions, and successful problem solving experiences result from positive emotions. Empirical evidence offers substantial support for the broaden and build theory of positive emotions. Seligman, in his book Authentic Happiness, classifies positive emotions into three categories: those associated with the past, the present, and the future. Positive emotions associated with the future include optimism, hope, confidence, faith, and trust. Those associated with the past include satisfaction, contentment, fulfillment, pride, and serenity. There are two distinct classes of positive emotions concerned with the present: momentary pleasures and more enduring gratifications. These pleasures include both bodily pleasures and higher pleasures. Gratifications differ from pleasures in that they involve states of absorption or flow that come from engagement in activities which involve using our unique signature strengths. Signature strengths are personal traits associated with particular virtues defined in the values in action classification of strengths by Peterson and Seligman. A variety of methods have been found to reliably induce positive mood states for up to 15 minutes. These methods include asking participants to watch an arousing film or read an arousing story, receiving an unexpected gift, reading positive self-statements, remembering a positive event, getting positive feedback, listening to music, and having positive social interaction with a cheerful person. Storr et al. In a study of over 200 workers found that over an 18-month period, happier people obtain better evaluations and higher pay than their less happy counterparts. Longevity. Evidences from longitudinal studies show that happiness has important effects on longevity. In a follow-back study of 180 nuns in the US, Dina et al. Found that the happiness expressed in essays that the nuns wrote as they entered the order was associated with their longevity. Of the happiest quarter, 90% lived past the age of 85 compared with only 34% of the least happy quarter. Auster et al. In a longitudinal study of more than 2,000 Mexican Americans over 65 years of age found that after 2 years, positive emotions at the start of the study predicted who lived or died and who showed greater functional independence or disability. Let us now look at some of the evolutionary perspectives on the obstacles to happiness. our environment is luxurious compared to that of our ancestors. We have reduced infant mortality, virtually eliminated many fatal infections and diseases, overcome food shortages, and developed energy and developed many technologies and facilities to aid comfortable living. We have also designed a lifestyle which includes education, sport, art and leisure activities. However, we are still not happy some of the time, and some people are unhappy much of the time. There are many obstacles to our happiness, and evolutionary psychology offers insights into some of these. These obstacles to happiness are as follows: habituation and adaptation to pleasurable situations. We have evolved in a way that we are designed to quickly habituate or adapt to situations that give us pleasure because it was adaptive for our hunting and gathering ancestors, according to Buss. Brickman and Campbell coined the term hedonic treadmill to describe this process of rapid adaptation whereby people react strongly to both positive and negative recent events with sharp increases or decreases in happiness, but in most instances return to their happiness set point over relatively short periods of time. Negative social comparisons. We compare ourselves with other people in terms of health, personal attractiveness and that of our partners and children, wealth, social status, academic achievement and so forth. This process of social comparison is adaptive because it helps us to have the best resources and propagate our genetic line. When we measure our success against the standards present in the media rather than the best in our immediate reference group, this can lead to unhappiness because we cannot attain the standards set by media images. And this leads to unhappiness because we cannot attain these standards. Inequitable reactions to equal losses and gains. We are also designed in evolutionary terms so that losses lead to more intense emotional experiences than gains of the same magnitude. Adaptive but distressing emotions. As a species, we have evolved in such a way that we are designed to have certain distressing emotions such as anxiety, depression, jealousy or anger in certain circumstances because these reactions were adaptive earlier. Let us now summarize what we have learned from this module. Understanding and facilitating happiness and subjective well-being is the central objective of positive psychology. When used in a broad sense, the word happiness is synonymous with quality of life or well-being. A number of factors that contribute to happiness are personality traits and happiness, genetic and environmental basis for personality traits, and heritability of a happiness set point. Intelligence is not related to happiness, and cultural values partially determine personality traits that affect subjective well-being. The set point for happiness, which is the stable point around which people's moods varies over periods such as a decade, is about 98% genetically determined. Specific cultural and socio-political factors have also been found to play an important role in determining happiness. The associations between happiness and marital status, kinship, friendship, acquaintances and religion and spirituality have also been found. More pleasant physical environments are moderately associated with happiness. Wealth, geographical location, health and exercise have all been correlated with happiness. Employment status, job satisfaction, skill usage and goal-directed activity are all associated with subjective well-being. And there is also an association between education and happiness in certain circumstances. Rest, relaxation, good food and leisure activities all have positive short-term effects on happiness. Studies show that happiness has important effects on longevity and productivity. Negative emotions prepare us for zero-sum games. In contrast, positive emotions prepare us for win-win or non-zero-sum games. Professor Barbara Fredrickson developed the broaden and build theory of positive emotions to explain how positive affective experiences not only signal personal well-being but also contribute to personal growth and development. Seligman, in his book Authentic Happiness, classifies positive emotions into three categories: those associated with the past, the present, and the future. Obstacles to happiness with evolutionary origins include our innate tendencies to habituate or adapt to pleasurable situations, to have inequitable reactions to equal losses and gains, negative social comparisons, and adaptive but distressing emotions.